Hello and welcome to the Kabbalah of Adam. We are going to go back into our Metatron studies today. And if you have the book Enoch3, Brandon, can I borrow yours? This book right here is what we're teaching from. We're going to start on page 113 if you would like to follow along. This class is, it's different than what we mostly do because, most of the time we go through the Peshat and we really lay the sod on top and we really dig and squeeze the juice out. But what this piece of literature is this author here has already gone into all of the text and found the sods and listed them, So there's from the Zohar, the Chehalot, the Sefer Olam, the Tikkun Zohar, the Chehalot, all the different literature that the Masa Merkava, all the great literature. He's already done the homework for you. What we have to look out for in here is when the author puts his own twist or opinion or makes a little comment that he'll put in brackets or parentheses or whatever. Without further ado, we are going to teach the teachings that can't be taught and try to understand something that is absolutely not understandable. Because if you understand this, it's a miracle. You're not supposed to understand it. So don't think, I don't understand it. Well, that's fine, because we're teaching about something that doesn't exist, yet it's everywhere. If you've ever seen the Matrix movies, if you understand the Matrix movies, you will love this. This is how it happens, okay? Let's say the prayer of the Uri. Root of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor. That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken, prepare our hearts to love and revere you, and may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as a aroma of sweet incense, and may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I will see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. I would also like to dedicate this class to Debbie January, who is a ger that passed this week. And we would like to dedicate this piece of Torah to her for the journey of her soul to the Gan. So we have to start out the class like this. There is no such thing as Metatron. Now let's study Metatron. The problem with the rationalist or the rational mind is they do not have any concept of God of emanation. They only have a concept of God of creation. Okay? In other words, hardly anybody has a concept of the emanator that emanated the actuality that then actuated the creation. So we have our mindset of God, and God created the heavens and earth, Genesis 1. We don't have a concept of the thing that even emanated that aspect of creation. That we don't have a concept of Atzilut. We only have a concept of Berea, creation, Yetzirah, formation, and Asiya, the completion of creation. So you have Bia and Atzilut. And so everybody's concept of God is the God of creation. That's the lesser Metatron. That's where everybody gets stuck. Because it's two. Because there's that separated by the pargode in this. The pargode's like the curtain of the Holy of Holies. Okay? So this is the thing we have to wrap our mind around. But once we expand into the God of creation, it's only the God of emanation. But nobody understands anything about the God of emanation. You will never have a relationship with the Ein Sof at all. You can only go through the metatronics of each step as you go. It's a process. You can't even see the Hayot. You can't even see the Orphim. You can't even see the Seraphim. You can't even see the lesser, the Havayah, God here. Much less the aspect, those are all aspects of the greater. Much less having a concept of the greater. So it's the most difficult thing to wrap your mind around. So what I'm going to try to do is give you the system to understand God. And it's not easy. It is the most difficult thing in all of Torah. That's why there is 70 other religions that think they got a God. That's the main thing. We only understand the God of creation, the God of Bia, versus the God of Atzilut, because we have no concept of how it all interfaces. So we try to make an interface. We try to make an intermediary between us and God. How do we connect to God? Through Muhammad, through Jesus, through Buddha, through whatever. Where in Judaism, it's completely different. You connect God through you. From my flesh, I will behold God, as it says in Job. All right? So it's from when you turn yourself inside out, when your flesh becomes light, when you come from emanation, when you're going from emanation down and you're seeing the cascade, dum, 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 only then can you see and understand God. Because we have no interface, we have two aspects of God. And Ein Sof is above even Atzilut. Even if you got to emanation, you're not at the Ein Sof. It's even above that. There is no relationship with the Ein Sof. Only through the system of the Ein Sof to creation can you understand God. Can you wrap your mind around what it is that is here? The lesser and the greater is only two views, and it's only two perspectives, because the virus that we are in is a binary system. It's a system of duality. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? The twin messiahs. But if you understand the twin messiahs, you understand one's Yesod, one's Terat HaYesod. It's the same thing. It's literally like the Matrix, and there's an actual source in this book that it's called basically the learnings of the Matrix. So let's look at it this way. You have Yud Hey Vav Hey, okay? What connects the Yud to the Vav, to the Hey? Metatron. What connects the Hey? Well, so you have Yud Hey, Vav Hey, Atzilut, and which is Abba Ima, and then you have Zah and Nuk, Vav Hey. Zah is the Holy One, the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's Zeranpin. That's the God you know. You can't even get up to that. This only the lesser that you can even get to. Why? Because if you got to this one, it's too powerful, it would blow you out. This is the squelched down version that you can actually interface with. But the Metatron is the Noga, it's the interface between Yud and Hey. And then Metatron is the Noga, the interface between the Hey and the Vav. And then Metatron is the Noga, the interface between the Vav and the Hey. And then between the final Hey and You is Metatron. Now, that's all the soul levels, that's all the world levels, that is all the angel levels. It's all Metatron. And then you have to take it away and say, there is no Metatron, the only thing here is Yud Hey Vav Hey. All right? It's a difficult concept. Now, page 113. Let's start. I'm gonna get me a pen right quick just so I can. I'm old school. I always have to have a pen or pencil or something. Let's start right here in the middle of the page. So I'll throw a curveball at you really quick. Rebbe Meir, our favorite Talmudic sage, is a Gilgal of Metatron. So if Metatron is God, how can Rebbe Meir be a Gilgal of God? What's the answer? Oh, he's a Metatron. You see? He is a thing that's interfacing Yud Hey Vav Hey here. Is he God? No. Is he Metatron? Yeah. Is Metatron God? Yeah. He's only the interface. You can only connect through the system. I don't care how far you go up. It says all the keys are committed to him in the Zohar. And of course it gives you the source. The possession of these keys is symbolic of Metatron's possession of all the divine secrets. Metatron is the transmitter of all divine secrets. Metatron commits these secrets to man and to the spirits in heaven. I thought God did that. Talmud says God does that. And it also says Metatron does that. Correct. Metatron is the interface of how God gives all the secrets. Metatron is the interface of how he gives all the secrets to man and the celestial beings. The secrets include the mysteries of the Torah. Hence, Metatron is called the Prince of Torah. He gave the terrestrial Torah to Moses. Metatron was Moses' teacher. Who was on the mountain? Metatron. Metatron teaches the Torah and its mysteries in heaven and is the president of the Heavenly Academy. He's the Rosh Hashiva. He's the head teacher. He expounds on the Halakha in the Heavenly Academy. So he teaches Halakha. Not only all the divine secrets, but also the Halakha. He is the prince not only of the Torah, but also the whole classical Talmudic, Midrashic, and Kabbalistic literature. So the entire Talmud is about Metatron. We have proven that time after time after time. So is the Midrash. That's why the stories, when you read them, it's like, this is the craziest story I've ever heard in my life. They're trying to explain something on a third grade level that is a physics, a graduate post-level physics level topic. From him emanates, in the last instance, all knowledge of the mysteries of the universe. Metatron runs the entire universe. The entire universe is run by Metatron. Is it run by God? Absolutely. How? Through Metatron. Through the system that he designed. That's over everything. Metatron is the guardian of the spirits and the souls in heaven, both before and after their earthly life. So before you came, you spoke with Metatron, and he sent you here. After you die, he will decide when you die, and he will be the one that raises you up and brings you up there, and he will then be still the one teaching you. Who is that? That is God. Is that the God of creation? Yes. Through the God of emanation. You have to connect 3D to 4D. He is appointed to give life to those who dwell in the dust. There it is. The spirits who are about to enter life on earth. He's got a revolving door. Out with the new, in with the old. Just the opposite. He assigns a star for every newborn to enlighten his neshama, his mazel, the spirit during his life on earth. So Metatron sets a celestial guardian over every person that controls his entire mazel, the entire time you're here. You have your personal agent, not only the star, but Malachim as well. Who is watching you every day? Metatron. Who is that? God. After death, he conducts the spirits and souls back to their places. He introduces the neshama on high, saying, enter, enter. Metatron is the chieftain of the angels Gabriel for the righteous or for Israel. Let me say that again. For the righteous or for Israel. And Samael for the wicked or for those outside of Israel. What did that just teach us? There's righteous and then there's Israel. And then there's wicked and those outside of Israel. It doesn't say Metatron is the chieftain for Israel and Sam for those outside Israel. Who fetch the spirits from on the earth by the authority of Metatron, their leader. The word Sam in Hebrew, you never really, unless you're teaching, you don't say Samael, right? You say the Sam. Sam, if you look at Sam from Bia, it's Sam. If you look at it from Atzilut, it's Metatron Sandalphon. Sam is only the inversion, the backside of Metatron Sandalphon. Righteous, wicked. Metatron, he is actually called the angel of death. I thought Sam was called the angel of death. Metatron is called the angel of death. Absolutely. Who is the angel of death? God. Who sent the 10th plague into the land of Egypt? God did. Who was it? The angel of death. Who was that? Metatron. What was it? Sam. It's the system. Metatron has here taken over the functions of old associated with the name Michael. So Metatron has overtaken Michael. C. Metatron, God's representative ruler over the world. He is Prince of the world, Sar Ha-Olam. He is the celestial judge of the world, the executor of divine decrees, the representative of the Holy One to the individual, the protector, the intercessor, the intermediary, and the advocate. He is the interface of everything. The only way we can study Torah right now is we have to interface through the Metatron process and learn about God. That's how we do it. In his capacity of ruler over the world, Metatron is usually associated with the 70, quote, 72 princes of the kingdoms, representing the different nations of the world. Metatron runs the entire world. Make no mistake about it. Who is that? God. There is no such thing as Metatron. That's how he uses his system to do it. Metatron is the prince of the world, is the ruler over the princes of the nations. Metatron, not the Holy One, is the ruler of the nations. But Israel has the Holy One himself for its ruler. What did they just do? They just showed how the system works outside and the system works inside. Because when you have the outside compared to the inside, you have the lesser and the greater. Are both of them Metatron? Yes. Is both of them God? Yes. But you have to have a metric. You have to have a measurement. You have to have a ratio. Metatron is the Memuna, that word means in charge, over all the nations, and he understands their language. Do you have to pray in Hebrew? No, you do not. He gives maintenance to the world through the 70 princes that are under him. He is the comprehensive unity of the world. All of the 10 Sphirot clothe themselves in Metatron in order to work through him in the world. The Malchut, the 10th Sphirot, representing the unity of the universe, rest in Metatron from the Pardes Ramonium. Metatron is the judge of the world. As judge, he is the head of the celestial Beit Din. For he gives judgments and decisions in respect to all. Judgment is taken in the wide sense of general government as well as forensic judgment. That's where he adds his thought to it. He unites himself with two attributes, justice and mercy. It's the Noga, it's the interface between justice and mercy. He is the center, the thing that puts them together. He is the head of the two groups of angels, the angels of justice under Azza and the angels of mercy under Uzzah. Uzzah and Azazel, if you remember our teachings on Uzzah and Azazel. They are basically the angels of 3D, of the backside. All right? Their son is Og. Their progeny are the Nephilim. Metatron is called the Sarhapanim, for he has two faces, justice and mercy. He is the minister of the faces. So when God told Moses, you have to see my face. You cannot see my face. You have to come in from the back side. So you have to come in from the back side and then to the front side, and then you're looking face within face. Because it says, no man can see God's face and live. And then it says, I speak to Moses face to face. Huge kasha. Because it says face within face. Panim and panim. Moses is looking at the same way God's looking. So when Moses comes down, what happens? They can't look at his face. He became Metatronic. Because he understood how the system worked. He is, of course, the judge also of man after his death and functions at the last judgment, at the battle of Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog is Gematria 70. Outside the celestial den, when not contemplating in the function of judge, Metatron always associates with the attributes of mercy below. So remember when Rabbi Ishmael goes into the Holy of Holies and he sees a Catriel there. He sees Metatron. He says, bless me, my son. He says, may your attribute of mercy overcome your attribute of justice. May you deal merciful with your children instead of just with your children. And may your mercy overcome all your justice. Da, 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 da. Metatron is the representative of the Holy One to individual men. He is your personal Savior. It was Metatron who showed himself to Moses and to the prophets all 40 days on the mountain. The Elah Ta'elot. That means he is the primary mover. For he did not show himself to any man. What it's saying here is the Ein Sof does not show himself to anyone. Only through Metatron does this happen. When the Holy One chose a prophet and destined him to partake of the Shekhinah, it was Metatron who bestowed upon the prophet the light of the Shekhinah. Why? Because the Shekhinah is the aspect of the Guvurot, and he is the aspect of the Hasidim. He is the garment that it is wearing. It is how the Shekhinah now interfaces with humans. When the Dibur, the divine word, came to the prophet, it was Metatron who spoke to him through the Bat Kol. And a Bat Kol came out and spoke. A voice came out and spoke, a Bat Kol. The Ramak says the Bat Kol is Metatron. Metatron receives man's prayers. Number 4, Metatron protects man against evil and against the Pegara, a plague, and the Klippa. Metatron is the shield of man. If only he remembers Metatron when in danger, he will be delivered and rescued. This is, we studied this. This is the piece in the Jerusalem Talmud that we study in Brokos. Rav Undi, says, when you go, every man has a patron, and it goes, but but not the Holy One. What is he doing? He's giving you the system. you can use the 70 names of Metatron, or one of the 70 names, that's the 70 names of God. You can use one of those 70 names, 70 aspects of Metatron, like Taf Yah, which is one of them. If you're ever in trouble, that is a name of Metatron. You can use that name and he will show up. Metatron is the intercessor, intermediary, and advocate. I don't like the words he used there. We have to use the word interface. He is the interface between the interspaces. He is called Segron to denote him as an advocate. He is the Seganor for Israel. And when the Satan tries to accuse Israel on high, Metatron makes him confused so that he is unable to bring forth accusation. He records the merits of Israel and seals the records. When the wrath of the Holy One is kindled against his children, then Metatron prays for them and transforms the Midot Hada'in into the Midot Harakamim. The aspects of Din into the aspects of Rakamim. Metatron is God's feedback loop. How is God praying to himself? No. He is taking the feedback loop of the stimulation, because Metatron takes the prayers, and he's using that as Rakamim. Because stimulation from below always lessens the judgment. He causes the divine decree to be determined by the attribute of mercy instead of by the attribute of justice. This is, if you read in the Babylonian Talmud, if you read in Brokos, the whole book is about how to pray. How did Moses pray? How did Moses always temper his anger? How did Hannah pray? Each one of them, it teaches God in a box. Your word says, take me, don't take them. In other words, they knew how to stimulate Rakamim and mitigate judgment. That is Metatronics. Because think about it. Metatron is in charge of judgment. But if God is going to judge his people, it's Metatron that prays to God, not to, mitigates God with his judgment. It is the system, that the fail-safe mechanism that he has created, that always has a fuse that will go, oh, well, I got to fix that fuse now. Yeah. God doesn't ever let his fuse go. If he did, we would not exist. Metatron is appointed to receive man's prayers. The way of the prayer is from a man's heart to the Hashmal. Remember in Ezekiel, he's going through the stormy wind and the fire and the smoke, and he gets to the Hashmal. He goes through the Noga, and he gets to the Hashmal. What is the Hashmal? The interface. It is the neural system. It is the circuitry that God has set up, the electricity. It is the skin of Adam. You're getting into Adamics now. The Hash means quiet, and the Mal means speaking. And it said, in God spoke in a small, still voice. That's the system. That's the Rakamim. That is the essence of how the prayers go through the system. This Hashmal, from the Hashmal to Metatron. and by Metatron it is brought behind the Pargode, before the throne of glory. You're going from the lesser to the greater, because once it's to the lesser becomes the greater. You just became the lesser once you enter into the system. God has to decrease himself so he can interact with you. But once that's called the lesser. But once you interact with the lesser, you become the lesser, it becomes the greater. So you're either going to deal with the God of creation, or you're going to go through the God of creation and it becomes the God of emanation. Zooming in, zooming out. In this aspect, Metatron is frequently associated with Sandalphon and Octriel. What did they just tell you right there? Sandalphon is the lesser, Octriel is the greater. Once you go through Sandalphon, you're at an Octriel. It just explained how it just encoded how to do it. Octriel receives the morning prayer, Metatron receives the afternoon prayer, and Sandalphon receives the evening prayer. That is the center column. That's the spine of Metatron, from the lesser to the body to the head, from below to above, through the spine, through the center column, through the neural system, which is called the hashmal, the electricity, like your spinal cord. Your spinal cord is electricity. Okay, if you have a spinal cord injury, you become paralyzed. When you separate yourself from Metatron, you are a parastolic person. You will try to make another God to interface back with God with, because you are now outside of the system. Metatron is the sigron. Means to shut or close. When shutting the doors through which the prayers are admitted into the celestial abodes, and the pehon when opening them. Both of these names are names of Metatron. He is the one that closes. He is the one that opens. He is one that shuts the door on prayers, and he is one that opens and admits them in. So if you're praying in a name other than one of his names, he's shutting the door. Trying to think, it says in Psalms, or is it Proverbs? It says, I think it's 38. It says the prayer of the wicked is an abomination. Like Sandalphon, Metatron binds crowns for his masters of man's prayers. Each one of your prayer is a crown. Some say men should not pray to Elat Ha-Elot, the unmanifested deity, but to Metatron. In other words, you're not praying to the Ein Sof, but to Metatron. For Metatron is apported over this world. What are they teaching you there? You have to go through the system. In other words, I get people tell me all the time, well, I'm like Abraham. I do what Abraham did. Well, you can't jump Sinai. You can't jump Metatron to get to the Ein Sof. You're out of the system. You know, that's like saying I'm in the caboose and I'm going to go get to the engine on a train. You got to go through every car to get there. You can't just jump over and get in the deal. It's impossible. So you see, at the end of that it says B1. So down here at the bottom of the note, it says they reported as arguing. This is a little machloket that they have. The Elot Halaot is known as the cause of the cause. That's the Ein Sof. The cause of the cause. He's the cause of the cause, right? So what that Hebrew there basically says is this. How could you think to pray to the Ein Sof since there is a tsar over it? That all the matters in the world are given to him. You know? How do you think you can go to something that you don't even have access to? D. Right above D there. Israel prays to the Holy One and to Metatron. Why does it say that? Because it's the same thing. Because Metatron is the interface. It's its function. It's how it functions. Metatron receives special names and appellations indicating his high position. He is called by the divine names. Metatron is called Havayah, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. He is called Elohim, and he is called Shaddai. Where would he be called Shaddai? If you were using the name Shaddai, where would that interface be taking place? That is a name in Yetzirah. All right? He is called Na'ar, which means youth, and Ol'ima, which means a child. He is called Zakain, which means an elder. Zakain Beto, Sabah de Beto. He is a steward. He is the eldest servant of the house. Abraham called Eleazar the elder of the house, the servant of the house. Right? So Eleazar is Gematria 70. Who is he? He's Abraham's Metatron. Abraham is Gematria 248. That's the number of connections in the Sephirotic structure. That is a complete Metatronic structure. That is 314 Shaddai plus the 4 Havayah is 318. And it says, who went and killed the 5 kings of Sodom, the 5 heavy Guvarot of Din? 318 fighting men. Who is that? That is Eleazar and Abraham, which is Adam and his 70 nations, which is the secret of the Gerim in Israel, the battle of Gog and Magog. It's just repeating itself. The expression, whose name is like his master, is referring to Metatron. Seems to have been associated with the concept of Metatron since its very origin. Metatron is called the Lesser Havayah. It denotes him as vice-regent, second of the throne. When Metatron was identified with the angel of Havayah and with Yehoel. So if you have, and they will know my name and they will know my Shmi. That's Shmuel, Metatron, Yehoel. What is Yehoel? It's most of the time when you see the names of Metatron, Yehoel is the first one. Yehoel is Yud-Heh-Vav El. Yehoel. Or, as a cause of this, the appellation in question found in the scripture that supports it in Exodus 20, 23, 21. For my name is in him. All of the names are in him. Because this is the aspect of Shaddai pushing, Shaddai is Yesod, pushing through into 3D. That's why God told him, I'm gonna send the angel of the Lord before you. Don't mess with him. He will not forgive your sin. Don't mess with him. Moses said, if you don't go, we're not going. Right? And he says, okay, my presence will go before you. And then it says, and the angel of the Lord went before them. Why? Moses knew how to get the interface connected. He knew who it was. He knew what it was. But he knew how to plug it in. The bottom of that is this guy's absolute throwing his own twist into it. All the way down to the next one. So go page 117, and go to the top of the page on A where it says Metatron is frequently called Havaya Katan, the lesser Yud He Vav He, versus Gadol, Havaya Gadol, right? What is that? This is the world of Bia. How God gets himself to Bia is through Metatron. That's how he did it. Is it God? Yes. Is it constricted? Yes. So, but it's the door, it's the portal of how you get in, and once you get in, now you're at the expanded. For he possesses the divine letters, which are the divine powers. This word here is Ma Araket Elahut, the divine matrix. That's it. Metatron is Ma, Adam, it's matrix. He's the divine matrix that the system is running through. You remember in the Matrix movie when they lay down in the chair and they'd plug in and they would dial up and they would go. They were dialing into the next to the other world, so to speak. That's the name of that system is Metatron. And then while they were in that system, they could use Metatronics. They were almost angelic. They could dodge bullets and everything else. They were Metatronics. Then at the end, when Neo became the system through the Hashmal, through the electrical, he became part of it. He was always part of it. From never not. That's the secret of that movie. He was, Neo means the one. It's an acronym. It's a play on the word one. B. Go back up. And he is the letters which are divine powers, which is this divine matrix, this Ma Araket Elahut, by which he performs everything. He performs everything of Adam through the divine matrix. He is also simply Yud He Vav He. He's simply God. It's simply God. And also Elohim and also Shaddai, etc. In his rulership over the world, he bears the divine name Shaddai. That's what it's in 3D. Right? Moses is fixing to go up to 4D. He says, look, for all the patriarchs unto now, I presented myself to them as Shaddai. But he's fixing to go to the mountain. But to you, I'm going to be Yud He Vav He. It was the same person, different name. Letting him know where he was in relationship. Not everybody's ceiling is their ceiling. Sometimes Your ceiling may be somebody else's floor if you live in an apartment. You're in the apartment, but there may be your ceiling may be somebody else's floor. That's called Atzilut. But when he ascends on high, he bears the name of his master. He Shaddai, but when the aspect of Metatron goes up, he's Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Is there two gods? No. Is Metatron God? No. Is Metatron God here? Yes. There is no such thing as Metatron. It's the system and how God communicates with creation through Metatron. Everything is about it. There's nothing that's not Metatron, and then you have to tell yourself, there is no Metatron. Only if you hold it like that do you understand the one who spoke the world into creation. He is Yah. He is called Yah, Shaddai, Havayah, Elohim, Asher Echiyah, Asher Echiyah. Who is Asher Echiyah? Who is Asher Echiyah? Asher Echiyah. That is, I am that I am. Moses said, who do I say took me? Who do I say is going to bring him out? What do you tell him? You go tell him Metatron's going to do it. Metatron knows who Echiyah, Asher Echiyah is. Okay, I'll go tell him Metatron's bringing her out. Oh, the lesser Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. That's exactly who we need. He is also called Adonai and many other names. He is the 72 divine names. They're the names of Metatron. It's Metatronics. The appellation of Na'ar, youth, occurs almost as frequently as the name Metatron itself. And Joseph was a youth, and Jacob in his youth. And everybody's in their youth. And when I was young and I was old, and I was youth and I was this, and blah, blah, blah. Everybody that is in the system is a Metatron, a little Metatron. Because you have a soul from the emanator. A part of that's light. And so you got to get into the system. Once you get into the neural system, you're just a pathway. In the later Kabbalistic literature, this Na'ar is exactly synonymous with Metatron, since it does not, as a rule, denote any specific function or office of Metatron. Various functions of Metatron are in various contexts, like the epithet of Na'ar. He is called Na'ar because he performs the service of Na'ar before the Shekhinah. He is the garment of her. He is called Na'ar, for he is the prince of the world, the Sar HaOlam, who said in Psalms 37:25, I have been young, and now I am old. And remember, see here underneath that, it says the Zohar 181b, and the guy puts in here in parentheses, this is contested by the Tosfot. Remember when the Tosfos said, when Enoch was here, who was running the world? Who was running everything? And remember what we taught this. Remember what the Shlah said? That Metatron, you have Adam. You have the Yachida, the Haya, the Neshama, help me.
Ruach.
The Ruach and the Nefesh. Okay? The Zahara Ila'ah is the Neshama, is the Haya. So what Adam did is God took the Zahara Ila'ah and set it over here. That Zahara Ila'ah is Metatron. So who's running everything? Adam. Who is Adam? Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Because if God's going to create something in his image and his likeness, and God doesn't have an image and he has no likeness, and he's going to create it like us, which is the Shekhinah, male and female, he created them. What kind of image does Adam have? Yechida, Haya, Neshama, Ruach, Nefesh. So he's taking a fractal of himself to run himself while he's running the rest of himself. Because your brain is running your heart. Your heart is not running your brain. But if your heart stops, you die. Oddly enough, it's being run by the vagus nerve, which is cranial nerve 10. And there's 12 cranial nerves. Because you are made in the image and the likeness of the neural system called Metatron. That's why you have 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbars, 32 in all, basically. You have 32 teeth. That's wisdom. Okay. The Aramaic equivalent of this ulema, used to denote Metatron as the manifestation of the Shekhinah. The quotation from Psalms 37:25, I was young and now I'm old, is the basis of the connection with the appellation of Na'ar, the youth, to the Zakein, the elder of the house, the old one. The Zakein is most used is the word of steward, the elder servant of the house, alluding to Genesis 24, which I just covered with Abraham. Metatron rules over all that the Holy One has. He is the Zakein Beto, the elder of his house. The word, I have been young, Na'ar, and now I'm Zakein, is one who rules over all that he has, for all the colors are seen in him, says the Zohar. Now, the appellation of the Eved, the servant, also occurs frequently. We see the word servant all the time. Servant of the Lord, servant. He's a servant. You're a servant. A servant, 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 servant. Israel, Isaiah 41:8. Israel is my servant. Jacob, Isaiah 43, Jacob is my servant. Isaiah 44, Jacob, Israel is my servant. They are his Metatron. What are they supposed to do? Go out to all the world and teach the Torah. Who's teaching Torah? Metatron. They are it. But look what happens here. The appellation of the servant, the Eved, also occurs frequently. This is the connection of the Zakein Beto, the elder of the house. As Eleazar was the elder of the house with Abraham, was the servant, so too Metatron is the servant of the Holy One. He is called the Eved. He is identified with the servant of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh in Isaiah. Which part of Isaiah? All of Isaiah, especially Isaiah 53. You want to know who the suffering servant of the Lord is in Isaiah 53? It's Metatron. Now, we have done a whole big teaching on this page, 2 big classes on Isaiah 53, on the teachings that can't, on the forbidden chapter, I think, is under the title. You want to know who Isaiah 53 is talking about? It is talking about Metatron. So it's easy to, what is the backside of Metatron? Christianity. Jesus. If they would just take Jesus, pull him out, and plug in Metatron, God, done. It's over. Ball game. Metatron is frequently termed as the Sar HaOlam, the prince of the world, which naturally denotes his rulership over the terrestrial worlds, Olam Hazeh, but sometimes it's interpreted differently. What is it interpreted sometime as? Is the Sar HaPanim. He's the ministers of the face. Metatron is prince of the world of Yetzirah, the Ophanim. Octriel is the prince of Berea. Metatron is the prince of Yetzirah, and Sandalphon is the prince of Asiya. Those are your three worlds there. The world of creation, the world of formation, and the world of completion. Metatron is prince over the rulers of Yetzirah. He is the head of the angels. Metatron is prince of the world, for he is appointed over the performance of the songs on earth to collect them, to bring them before the Holy One. And as prince of the world, he functioned at creation. How did God create everything? Through Metatron, through Metatronics, through the neural, cerebral, spinal, connective, Hashmal, electrical system, spherotic, worlds, nogas, all the way down. And we're going to end with the last piece here. How did he create this function? Through Adam Kadmon. So Adam Kadmon is Metatron. You see what they just did? They just made Metatron emanation. So the only way to have Zivug, union, with the God of emanation is through Metatron. There is no other way. You can't get there. You can't just pray. You have to pray through the system, which is really the secret of prayer. Where did I write that down? The Zahara Ila'ah. I'm glad I remembered this. This is big. The Zahara Ila'ah is the Chaya. All you see now is necklaces that says Chai on them. Chai is 18. 18 is the number of verses in the Shemona Esrei. It's 4D picking up 3D. That's the four bowings. The Shemona Esrei is Metatron. It's the Zahara Ila'ah. David had 18 wives. What's he doing? He's fixing the circuit board, because Hava's name was Chaya before the fall. It went from Yud to Vav. So that's where we are getting all the 18s. 18 is the spine, because you have the 5 lumbar and the 12 thoracic, that's 17. And this is an Atzilut, it's 1. So there's 18 in the spine. Metatron is the cerebral spinal neural network. The functioning system of the Creator is how it interfaces and interacts through the electrical Noga network, and how it gets everything there and how it gets everything back. That system is called Metatron. That system is God, because there is no Metatron. It's only Metatronics. But without learning, without us zooming in and learning each function of Metatron, we can't learn the system. And it's the system that helps you understand the one who spoke the world into existence. And the Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing, and I will see you guys next week.